Now, my next guest has staged a protest outside Wembley, a yoga vigil in Tavistock Square, and will hold a panel discussion this evening, all to raise awareness around violence against women in India. Miranda Hudson is part of the Her Voice campaign, which seeks to create real change for women and girls affected by gender-based violence. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Why did you want to get involved with this?
You know, I feel like my mum raised me to believe that women can do anything. I've grown up in a lovely capital and I just want the same rights for other women elsewhere. I volunteered in India and discovered this wonderful charity called Snehalaya, and I decided to sort of mould my life to helping a little bit more. And there's so much that we can all do wherever we are to make a difference, and it really does make a difference. So,
I mean, you mentioned that wherever we are, because often people see that this is happening in India, we're here. What can people here do to affect change there and also globally?
I think sometimes just giving survivors the platform to be heard, amplifying their voices, but also when you campaign, it feels really good that you're doing something to help others. So people over here can do all sorts of things. They can go on change.org/hervoice and sign our petition. They can show their own support. Maybe even some people have been wanting to share their own stories as well. So we've created a platform where all people can talk about this subject. And sometimes just giving it that place to be aired is all it needs to start the conversation going, and change happens from that.
Now, one of the issues we talked about in our headlines today is child abuse being much worse than we hear it is. I think there's probably similar trends in domestic violence and abuse. How bad do you think the problem is today?
I think it's endemic, and I don't think it's just India's problem. I think it's a global issue. However, in India, a woman is raped every 34 minutes. You know, sometimes I think education for women isn't favoured because it's not seen as a good investment when they're going to get married into another family. There's domestic violence. I'm not even sure that there's a sort of collective feeling of feminism, if you like, with Indian women because they're so sometimes hidden. So I feel it's a very big issue in India, and when you have someone like Modi who has people who are up for rape on his cabinet and not really you know, he's not really suspending those people. What message does that give out? So I think it's a really, really big issue in India, but I think it's actually a global issue. And I've spoken to many survivors, and I think this campaign really seeks to give them some support and stop looking at them as victims and trying to look at them to help find the solutions.
You mentioned Narendra Modi there, the Prime Minister of India, who of course was here just a couple of weeks ago. Were you hopeful that we might be able to influence him a bit when he was over here?
I think so. I really do hope so. I mean, also just showing support, like as a Londoner, I'm a British Asian. I'm actually from Indonesia, I'm not from India, but I don't feel like borders necessarily count on this kind of cause. And I think a lot of people came out and a lot of people had a lot to say, so I do think he'll have heard.
How do people in India feel about people in the UK trying to help them?
The campaign was actually formed by 8 Indian NGOs. They were backed by some match funding that Global Giving had. Global Giving is an online sort of crowdfunding platform and a vehicle for lots of charities. And all of these organisations, they're there often when police aren't and often when local government isn't doing that much. Because in India, they do have the strongest rape laws for prosecution, but actually the implementation of the law isn't there. And so all of these NGOs who are desperately sort of picking bodies up off the streets and trying to change societal perceptions around women, they're so busy on the front line that they were absolutely delighted to have an international mouthpiece. And I feel privileged as a Londoner who's enjoyed full liberty to enjoy everything the city has to offer, to sort of stand up as a woman and just stand up as a human being and say, I'll try and fight your corner a little bit from where I am.
To anyone watching, want to find out more about the campaign, just tell us briefly how they can.
So they can go to www.hervoice.org, and there's facebook.com/withhervoice.
Withhervoice.org. Miranda Hudson, thank you very much.